our Dandavat pranams to everyone. It's super inspiring to see this beautiful new ashram, which is being manifest by the devotees, headed by Krishnananda Prabhu. And I actually today, I went with Kanupriya Didi, and she began steps to register an official mission in Hungary, which they haven't had. And she's also looking at lands and wants to build something. So it's it feels very, very inspiring just to think that, you know, now we're seeing this Raj Mohini showing us this new beautiful ashram, and to see how the, you know, this movement is continuing, and how happy Gurudev would be to see that. Deva Bandhu Prabhu, many of you know, he was one of our Gurudev's personal servitors in his last days, and he and Nanda Priya, his wife, they had a very special exchange on the Gurudev's last evening. And there were a few things that were particularly striking. And one of them was that Gurudev turned to them at one point and told them, I am very happy with how Guru Maharaj's mission has spread, something like that. And he said, now for me, it is all Bhaja Gauranga, Bhaja Gauranga. And there were some other comments he made as well, which were, it was like he was indicating that, like, I've done my job. And he said something like that too, like, I did my service, and now it's for you to continue it. You know, now I'm handing the, like Gurudev would say, handing the rudder, somebody's holding the rudder. It's to do with a, you know, boat. But that was his mood, you know, like he gave everything to give us a chance to practice Krishna consciousness, to spread the glories of his Guru Maharaj, and to share the connection of service to his Guru Maharaj. And now he was withdrawing from that to continue with other seva, you know, his internal service in the spiritual plane. And now it was down to us to continue that. And there was another comment that he made, which I only found out recently. It's amazing how, you know, we still have that privilege of hearing things that Gurudev said, that he deposited with different devotees. There was another comment I heard recently from Isha Bandhu Prabhu, and he said, Muralidhar Prabhu, some of you may know in Australia, that Gurudev, when Gurudev was in Australia, he told him one day that he really didn't want to take the position of Guru. I might have mentioned this recently, but Gurudev told him he didn't want to take the position of Guru. And he said, you know, but Janardhan Maharaj, Ashram Maharaj, they're forcing me, you know, I have to do this. And then he said, but what I want to do is I want to stay with Guru Maharaj in Kadam Kandi. That's what I want to do. You know, I want to stay with Guru Maharaj in Kadam Kandi. And Isha Bandhu, he was astonished because he said, like, I've known Muralidhar for like 20 years and he never told me that, you know. Like still, as time goes by, now Gurudev's been gone for 10 years and we're still, it's like he deposited these different gold mines. But another comment I heard, it was just last year, or not much longer than that, Madhusudana Maharaj, he told me something else which I'd never heard before, that one afternoon he was with Srila Gurudev in Dum Dum Park, and Gurudev expressed to him, you know, Guru Maharaj told me not to open too many temples, you know? And And that's something that we've heard before. Gurudev mentioned many times, and Srila Maharaj gave him permission to open a temple in Calcutta, because Calcutta is like the transit station, and Govardhan because that's one of our principal places, and also Puri, also principal place. So Gurudev said, Guru Maharaj told me not to open too many ashrams. So why have I done that? why, why have I opened so many temples all over the world? And Gurudev said, because, and he said, just because in each of those temples, devotees can have the opportunity to hear the glories of Guru Maharaj, to serve Guru Maharaj, to spread Guru Maharaj's conception and spread Guru Maharaj's glories. That is the only reason why. So this was Gurudev's desire, that this mission would spread Guru Maharaj's glory. And so it's very encouraging when we see today, on this day, the divine appearance day of our Param Gurudev Srila Maharaj, that mission is still continuing. There's still progressive movement and inspiration, deep inspiration to continue with the spread of that mission. And Gurudev, often on these days, he wouldn't necessarily speak specifically about, like different historical events, but he would speak about on days connected to Srila Maharaj, also to Saraswati Thakur. He would often speak about this in a very living way, in the sense that we are getting a connection with them through the service of their mission, through the service of their desire, the spread of the mission all over the world. Gurudev, he loved that expression, the sun never sets on Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, because that was a expression of the British Empire. The sun never sets on the British Empire, but Gurudev said, but now the sun, has set on the British Empire, but it hasn't set on Guru Maharaj's mission. It hasn't set on Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, and we can especially appreciate on days like today, that like in a this wonderful movement, this cycle, Srila Maharaj's glories are being celebrated, with every movement of the sun, from every corner of the world, So that is a very glorious and a very, very happy thing. And there's a very beautiful talk of Gurudev's that I listened to today from Socal 2007. And he was speaking, and again, it was one of, sometimes Gurudev would speak and tell all the stories and tell all, so many specific things. And there are other times when Gurudev would speak in a very broad way, speaking more of essential spiritual principles. And this talk, I've posted it online. It's 3rd of November 2007. It was one of those talks where he's speaking in more of a broad way. So I'm just sharing what's inspiring me now in connection with this day. But one of the points that he made there, which I wanted to mention, was that he said, which is very encouraging, which he said that practicing or not is not a factor. but the factor is that, oh, thank you, Bajamini Didi. She's sharing the link there for anyone who wants to listen. But he said, practicing or not is not a factor. but we have a connection. Connection is the factor. and this is our fortune, that and so he was saying, and it may not even be in this lifetime, and he mentioned that question of Arjuna's, right, in Bhagavad Gita, where he's asking Krishna, what if somebody falls down in the middle of their practice, and Krishna, tells him in their next life they will pick it up again. They will have favorable circumstances to support them. So Gurudev is saying it may not even be in this lifetime, but if that connection is there, if that genuine connection is there, then it will awaken eventually. So this is our fortune, that we have what is really a very living and vital spiritual connection, with our Gurudev, with our Param Gurudev. We have that connection. We have those seeds, those genuine, the real thing that's been deposited with us, and it's just a matter of time. It is Gurudev would sometimes, on a few occasions, and in this talk also, and other places also, I heard him use this phrase, a transcendental fuse. That's what we've been given. We've received connection with this transcendental fuse, and it's something that goes beyond an understanding, goes beyond a conception or a teaching or a practice, as he also specified there. But it's like an electric current. It's an electric line that we are connected to. It transcends anything of our conception or understanding, and we simply have to try to keep that, keep some connection, to show our faith to that, and eventually it must become brighter and more revealed within ourselves. Another comment of Gurudev's, I think it was in that talk too, but maybe it was another one. He said, we have one thread. We're holding on to one thread of Guru Maharaj, and if we can hold on to that, then we will be okay. We will be okay. So it's a very, very joyful day, the appearance day. The disappearance days, there's some pain, some sadness connected with them, but on the appearance days, even though they're not physically with us, still, it is a more joyful contemplation, to think that today is the day that they appeared in this world. And we are not qualified, and Gurudev would remind us, that we are not able to say anything in glorification of such divine personalities, but we're trying to, the guidance that Gurudev gave is we can try to consider how they have been praised by those who are qualified. So we can, as he famously told Yudamanyu Prabhu, you cannot give a certificate to Guru Maharaj. We cannot do that. So we are like children, or like Gurudev would say, like an insect, a louse living in the hair. We don't have the proper conception of who our gurus are, who Gurudev is, who Srila Sridhar Maharaj is, but we can try to form some type of understanding, through the lens of the vision of higher Vaishnavas. And so we are thinking of that. And our Param Gurudev Srila Sridhar Maharaj, it is not difficult to to form some type of appreciation through the lens of what the superior Vaishnavas have expressed, because there is so much that has been said. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he was preeminent amongst the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that is really saying something, because Saraswati Thakur, he had so many qualified disciples, brilliant and spiritually powerful, potent leaders, very qualified Vaishnavas in his mission. So it is really saying something that amongst that group, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he was preeminent, to the extent that as we've heard, even those who were apparently opposed to him, because of different, missionary issues, even they could not but acknowledge, his position. Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, he was the, very very highly, socially and spiritually, in every sense. Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, he had a very high position. He was trusted by Srila Saraswati Thakur to preach in London. He was the only disciple who was ever empowered to give Ritvik initiation. And he was a very, very great, powerful preacher in the mission. And socially speaking, he came from a very highly situated family, family of Goswamis, in the line of Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda Vamsha. But he, after the disappearance of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he came and he took shelter. Sorry, I keep saying that. After the disappearance of Srila Saraswati Thakur, he came and he took shelter of Srila Sridhar Maharaj in many ways. Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave him sannyas. There was an occasion in Vrindavan when, on the appearance day of this day of Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Goswami Maharaj, he personally led an arati of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and he offered one of these ghee lamps with 108 different wicks. He personally led that, and there were many things that he said. One of the most famous that no doubt many of you know, every year he would there was a meeting, there was a gathering of the leading Vaishnavas, Vishva Vaishnava Raja Sabha, that would meet at our mat after Gaur Purnima every year, and they would share news, share inspiration, and Gurudev Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he would always put Goswami Maharaj in the presidential chair. And there was one occasion when Goswami Maharaj, he made a very wonderful comment about Srila. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my brain. I don't know what I'm mixing up names. But there was this one meeting they had where Goswami Maharaj gave very wonderful praise of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And he used this phrase, Simhavalokan, which means the glance of a lion. And he described how a lion, is striding very powerfully in its terrain, and every now and again is looking back to assess how far it has come. Is it going in the right direction? What has it crossed? And so Goswami Maharaj, he said, in the same way, we are all, he compared all of these powerful preachers to these lions, who are, and they were, Goswami Maharaj, Madhav Maharaj, Keshav Maharaj. Our mat was very small. It was a small and poor mission, because Srila Maharaj's style was very simple. Gurudev would always say that he was like the Goswamis. Really, he was. He had that mood, like Rupa and Sanatan, very simple. Living under the tree, drinking buttermilk. That was Srila Maharaj's style. Extremely austere, extremely simple, and also extremely strict. Srila Maharaj, his nature was extremely strict. No compromises. In the way Gurudev, he was extremely merciful, extremely accommodating. Gurudev would compromise so much for our sake because he knew we couldn't follow all of these things. But that wasn't Srila Maharaj's style. Srila Maharaj would not allow Gurudev to exercise. That's how strict Srila Maharaj was. Nothing. Srila Maharaj would not allow anyone even to sit and read a devotional book in their leisure time. He saw that as lazy, as what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the right word, but like in an indulgence, just to sit and to read a book. That actually happened to Tirtha Maharaj. Tirtha Maharaj personally experienced that. He told me how he was sitting in his room once reading a book of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Srila Maharaj, he would actually sometimes he would send someone around doing the spot check to see what everybody was doing at any given moment. Can you imagine? Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Srapa Shanti Suraya Digiva Chakshora Tatam. Srila Maharaj discusses this verse in the Rig Veda, saying how the wise souls, they always see the Lord above their head, like a big eye in the sky, watching over everything that they do. So he gave persons opportunity to really, live like that, to think like that in a very tangible way. So anyway, Gaura Krishna, he was a personal secretary and servant of Srila Maharaj. He was sent around one afternoon. And so he came and knocked on Tirtha Maharaj's door, and he found he's reading a book of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he went back and reported to Srila Maharaj. And then he came back and told him, Guru Maharaj wants to know, why you're just sitting around reading idly, and maybe he didn't say it like that. I'm exaggerating. But he told him, you shouldn't be doing this. Your every moment must be used in seva, and that's not seva just to sit and read. And he said, you have work in the printing press, you have service in the printing press. So while you're in the course of doing that service, proofreading and editing, etc., then you can read, in the course of your seva. But just independently to sit and read for your own knowledge or enjoyment, that is not service. Srila Maharaj was actually very strict about this, and there were other incidents surrounding this point. His policy was that devotees, they would attend the morning and evening classes, and they would hear at that time, that would be the time when they would hear Hari Katha. They would hear from the Shastra, hear from the higher Vaishnavas. But otherwise, the rest of the day would be, seva, seva, seva. So really, he was very, very strict, very strict. And there was that occasion he told Gurudev, because Gurudev joined as a 17-year-old boy. And he said, I was very energetic and I wanted to do some exercise, but Guru Maharaj wouldn't allow it. He said, you can go and do some gardening. And there were many things that happened. There was also a time when someone gave Gurudev a fancy watch. And in the same way, like I said, Srila Maharaj, he was like one of the Goswamis. So there's the incident described in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Sanatan Goswami he's by his brother-in-law gave him this fancy blanket, like a shawl, some type of a shawl. And so remember, Sanatana Goswami, he's at a point when he's given up everything. He has nothing. He's like a beggar. The only thing he has of any value is this shawl, you know. But Mahaprabhu doesn't accept. But Mahaprabhu doesn't say anything. He just looks at him. The look. Right? He just gave him the look, you know. So, and Sanatan could understand Mahaprabhu doesn't like wearing this fancy shawl, you know. So he went and he got rid of it, exchanged it for a cheaper one. So similarly, you know, that was Srila Sridhar Maharaj's mood, and Gurudev, he said he had this watch that somebody had given him, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj he didn't say anything, just looked at it, just gave him the look. And Gurudev could understand he doesn't want. Okay, and Gurudev said, "Fine, if you don't want me to have a watch, I don't have a watch." You know, and he got rid of it. So, like, really, that was Srila Sridhar Maharaj's standard, and in fact, that was why, you know, that was why our mission was. It's always been a small mission. It's a very interesting point because we hear how Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he was so revered by his godbrothers, and then you wonder, like, but why was our mission so small? And there were always just like, you know, 4 brahmacharis, 3, 4, 5 brahmacharis in the mat, and his godbrothers had big missions. You know, they had multiple missions around India, and they had you know, they had big congregation. But Gurudev mentioned that was the reason, because Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he was so strict, you know, so not everybody could handle that, you know. So anyhow, this one occasion, Goswami Maharaj, he used this wonderful analogy, you know, that he compared himself and his godbrothers to these powerful lion-like preachers who were preaching all over India. But at the same time, every now and again, they were checking in with Srila Sridhar Maharaj in the same way that the lion will look back to see how far it has come, how it is doing, is it on track? So they would check in with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you know, is Sridhar Maharaj happy with us? Oh, so Chinmoy Prabhu, you have to go, huh? Just want to say goodbye.
Yes, Didi, I'm sorry that we're starting the program soon at the
Okay.
Ashram. So
okay, cool. Well, we wish you a very happy program with Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj.
Thank you.
And thank you for hosting making time to host our
Doya is in charge now.
I'm in charge.
Okay, so we've got Doya as our hostess then.
I'll try to be.
Okay, Dandavat everyone.
Dandavat. Jai Chinmoy Prabhu ki jai. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj had this very special position in the mission, and they would all come and check in with him. Goswami Maharaj. Actually, in the beginning, they wanted to make Srila Sridhar Maharaj the head. You know, after, you know, Saraswati Thakur, he didn't announce any particular successor. And after he left, then naturally, there were 2 principal groups that formed. And one of the Srila Sridhar Maharaj was initially supporting the head of one group, but eventually there were different things that happened. We don't have to go into it now, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj saw the necessity to leave, and there were many who followed him. And so that second group, they wanted to make Srila Sridhar Maharaj the head of a new group. They wanted him to be the acharya of a new mission. And initially, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he was was hiding from them. That was another quality. He would always say, I'm a back pushing man. He really didn't like to be at the forefront. He always avoided that. And in fact, there's one talk of Srila Maharaj where he says, and it's very, I'll try to find it. It's published on Gaudiya Darshan. Very extremely heart touching, where he's really like just opening his heart, like kind of like putting himself on the table. And he speaks about like how he first came to begin the Mat. And one of the things that he says there is, he says, I know it may be difficult to believe or to understand, but since my childhood, whenever I've heard somebody praising me, it's given me pain in my heart. That's actually what he says, He actually feels pain. It is just inconceivable, in this world, everyone's fighting over position. Everyone's clamoring to have a name for themselves, to have name and fame, position, all these things. And we live in a world of envy, where we all want to be better than everyone else, But this is the genuine expression of a pure Vaishnava, that he actually feels pain in his heart to hear himself praised, to hear his own praise. So that is another quality of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He really genuinely never wanted to have a position for himself. And so in the beginning, he was, when he came to, and in fact, he wasn't planning, as we know, he wasn't even planning on starting any mission at all. He just wanted to stay somewhere quietly as a recluse and continue with his bhajan, for, in a quiet and simple way. But as we know, when he decided to stay in Navadvip, he first went to Ekachakra to ask for the blessings of Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu, he chastised him and told him, you've received so much mercy already from your Guru Maharaj. You can't sit on that. You have to share that. You're asking me for mercy, but you've already received so much mercy and you're not sharing that with others. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he came to the conclusion that he had to make himself somewhat available, and he'd resolved not to accept disciples. But when he heard that, he said, okay, I won't go running after anyone. I'm not going to start a canvassing mission. But if somebody comes to me, then I will accept them. So he made that his policy. And so he came to Navadvip, and he began Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat. But he was staying very quietly, and he didn't inform any of his godbrothers where he was. And there's one very beautiful recording where Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he describes how he spent those days, and he said how he would cook once a day. He brought from, because first after he left the Gaudiya Mat, he first went to Govardhan, and he collected some Govardhan Shilas from there. And so he had these Govardhan Shilas that he was worshipping, and he had this small hut on the banks of the Ganges. And so he'd cook once a day, make a noontime offering. He would bathe in the Ganges every morning. And he said in the daytime, while there was light, he would read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, from Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in the night, because he had no electricity, so then when it was dark, he would chant on his mala. So, you know, that's how he lived. You know, it's very, very heart touching to hear that, you know, how he spent those, you know, very, very simply, he spent those that very beginning period. And so, as I said, he didn't inform any of his godbrothers where he was, and they were looking for him because they wanted to start a mission. They wanted to make him the head of their mission. Because, as we know, Srila Saraswati Thakur had given special distinction to Srila Sridhar Maharaj when he was passing from this world. And he indicated that the current, the, you know, Rupa Nuga Dara, it would pass through Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you know, by asking him to sing Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. And so his godbrothers could understand, you know, that of course they already knew and could recognize Srila Sridhar Maharaj's special position and qualification, but that made it very clear, you know, when Saraswati Thakur asked him to sing that song, then it was something more that was being said, like something was being handed to him. He was being given entrance to a higher service group. So they all felt, you know, if we're going to start another mission, only Sridhar Maharaj can be the head of that. So they were searching for him, you know. And then, as we heard from Gurudev, one day somebody saw him when he was bathing in the Ganges. And then they reported to the others, and then they all came to see him, and and they requested him earnestly, you know, please accept this role, accept this service. And as we've heard Gurudev describe, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, you know, I don't want to take the position of a king. And well, the way that Gurudev said it was that Guru Maharaj, he didn't want to be a king, but he became a king maker, you know, which is a higher position, actually. You know, it is one thing to be a king, but to be someone who can appoint kings, you know, that is a higher position. So that was Srila Sridhar Maharaj's position. And he said, you know, I really don't want to take the position of an acharya, but I can, you know, give you, I can, you know, request all of you to take that position. So it was by the request of Srila Sridhar Maharaj that many of them started their own missions and started to take that role as acharya and guru. And so Jajavar Maharaj was the first one that Srila Sridhar Maharaj appointed. And then gradually the others, they also took that role, you know. And Goswami Maharaj, you know, he took sannyas from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he became guru. Keshav Maharaj, he was another very prominent, powerful preacher who ended up giving sannyas to Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. Madhav Maharaj, he didn't officially take sannyas from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but in spirit he did, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave him his name. There was some social political issue which he was bound to take from somebody else, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave his sannyas name, and in spirit, you know, he was, you know, his you know, full surrender. His surrender was to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So these are some of the especially prominent preachers who were empowered by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, who took shelter of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and who would regularly come to visit Srila Sridhar Maharaj to you know, seek his counsel, you know, to take his advice. Gurudev, he mentioned one example of Madhav Maharaj, who was, as I mentioned, was one of the particularly like powerful, prominent preachers, and he would come, and when he came to to visit Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he would rest on a torn mattress at the foot of his bed, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj would always offer his own bed to Madhav Maharaj. And there was one time when Gurudev, he went in and he saw Madhav Maharaj on this torn old mattress on the ground, and he's this like powerful preacher with so many followers. And Gurudev said, "Oh Maharaj, why are you resting like this? Guru Maharaj told you to take his bed. Guru Maharaj will take another bed outside. Please Maharaj, don't do this." And Madhav Maharaj, he told him, "You can imagine how much peace I get in my heart as I'm laying here on this torn mattress, at the foot of Sridhar Maharaj's bed." These were the kind of exchanges that Srila Sridhar Maharaj had. These were the kind of relationships and the love and the regard that Srila Sridhar Maharaj's godbrothers had for him. And Goswami Maharaj, who we've mentioned already a few times, another famous story, incident with him, is how, every year Goswami Maharaj, he had a mod in Calcutta. He had a mod in Mayapur also, and another principal mod was in Calcutta. And every year he would hold his Vyasa Puja celebration in Calcutta. And every year he would invite Srila Sridhar Maharaj as the guest of honor. And everything that his disciples gave him, all the gifts, all the donations, the pranami that he received, he would give everything to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. It was incredible. Every year he would do that. That's what kind of regard he had for Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And so then there was one year when Srila Sridhar Maharaj could not come, and because of his health, because of showing poor health, so he sent a message saying he couldn't come. And Goswami Maharaj, he announced, that he expressed that every year Sridhar Maharaj is coming here and he's blessing me with another year of life. But this year he could not come, and so I think that this will be my last year in this world. And that is what came to pass also. So that was Goswami Maharaj, and of course, more well known is the relationship that Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, that he had with our Param Gurudev. He publicly described him as his Shiksha Guru, and he would, whenever he could, he would come to visit Srila Sridhar Maharaj, to consult with him. And there's that occasion when there was a letter that he wrote to Srila Sridhar Maharaj via our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, asking him, his health was very poor. He was preaching in America, and he very much wanted to leave his body in Vrindavan. So he was very sick, showing, very poor health, and facing this dilemma. Should I drop my preaching in America to go to Vrindavan so I can leave my body in Vrindavan, which is my heartfelt desire? Or should I, continue with the service that I'm doing here, not interrupt my service, and if need be, I have to leave my body in America? And so he wrote to Srila Sridhar Maharaj asking him, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he sent the reply through our Gurudev, that America, that is your, there is this expression, Prabhu Datta Desh, means the land which has been given for your service, your land given by your Guru for your service. So he said, that is your place, America is your place of service. And he said, actually wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. Your service is so high that whether you are in America or whether you are in India, it does not matter. You are in Vrindavan because that is where your consciousness is. And Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he responded saying, in the absence of my Guru Maharaj, then what Sridhar Maharaj says, I take that on my head. I can consider that what Sridhar Maharaj tells me, that is the desire of my Guru Maharaj. And as we know, he would always come and consult with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And of course, he also requested Srila Sridhar Maharaj to become the president of ISKCON. He wanted him to head his mission. So, such are the glories of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And Srila also, his guru, Srila Saraswati Thakur, expressed many things. The most famous incident is, as we mentioned, when he was leaving this world, and he especially called for Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And it was particularly significant because Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he'd actually just left the room. And this was like in the last few days before Saraswati Thakur left, and there was a select group of disciples who all had particular shifts so Saraswati Thakur was never alone, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he had the most difficult time from around 2 to 4 a.m. in the morning, something like that, the hardest time. And he'd actually just left. He'd been there for his shift, and he'd returned and was resting in his room. And Srila Saraswati Thakur deliberately called for him to come and requested him to sing, And then, which made it even more significant, after he requested Srila Sridhar Maharaj hesitated to sing. And somebody else started to sing, and Saraswati Thakur stopped him and again emphasized, no, I'm asking Sridhar Maharaj, So it was like a double emphasis that he made, triple emphasis, we can say actually. That he was very particularly asking Srila Sridhar Maharaj to sing this song in glorification of Sri Rupa, who is the head of our group. So that was very, very significant incident with Saraswati Thakur, and there were many different things. I was remembering earlier another well-known incident. There was a deity installation. I hate that word, installation, but anyway, that's the word that we use. You install a refrigerator. We can't use the same word, but anyway, that's the word that's just happens. Inauguration, I like to say sometimes, an inauguration of a deity's worship. So Saraswati Thakur's style was very simple, because what it really means for a deity to manifest, it's simply a matter of the Vaishnava inviting the deity to come. That's all. The Vaishnava says, please come, Lord. and the Lord will naturally come. That's all, you know. It's very funny sometimes, you know. We have a tendency to get caught up with rituals, you know, mantras and sacrifices and doing it like this and doing it like that. And of course, we observe those things because we are following, you know, some degree of vidimarg, you know, of scriptural, you know, regulated practice. But the essence, that is not the essence of what it is. And the real substance is simply that the Vaishnava will request the Lord to appear, you know, like, please come. It's about a relationship. That's what Vaishnavism, real Vaishnavism is. And so Saraswati Thakur, he didn't observe all these formalities, and he simply, his style was that he would simply place a tulasi leaf at the feet of the Lord, and give his obeisance. When there was a new deity, he would just place a tulasi leaf and give his obeisance, and thereby inviting the Lord to appear. And so there was one occasion, where was it? Maybe it was in Dhaka, in what is now Bangladesh, what was East Bengal. There was a deity inauguration that was going to take place, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I think he was acting as something like the priest, and he was making arrangements on the altar. And he saw that the step to reach the deity, it was an awkward and high step, and so he thought, you know, Guru Maharaj will come, you know, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur will come to place the tulasi leaf, but it will be difficult for him. It is an awkward step for him. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj thought, I will do that for him, you know, to make it easier, you know, to save him the trouble. And so he did that, you know, he placed the tulasi leaf at the feet of the deities. And then Saraswati Thakur came in to do this, and he saw the tulasi was already there. And he was very surprised, and he made some comment like, it is a miracle, the deity has manifested itself. and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he didn't say anything. I'm not sure if he quite picked up on what had happened, because Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I think he was relatively new. He didn't realize at that time that only Saraswati Thakur would do that nobody else would do that. So perhaps he didn't quite realize the significance of that. And so then the way Gurudev told the story, there was some type of report in a newsletter or magazine or something, and it mentioned something about this miraculous event, about the deity manifesting itself, and one of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's godbrothers, and so this is like some time later, a month or 2 months later, and so one of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's godbrothers read this and asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you know, what happens? You know, what is this event that's being described? And, you know, can you tell me exactly what happens? And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj explained everything that happened, and then his godbrother said, what? You know, only Prabhupada will do that service. You know, nobody else can do that. You know, invite the deity like that, put the tulasi. Only Prabhupada does that. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he finally understood, and he felt terrible. He felt, oh, I've committed a terrible offense. And so he wrote a letter. He wrote a letter to Saraswati Thakur, and, you know, asking for forgiveness, and said, oh, I've made a terrible offense. You know, I did something that was not appropriate for me to do. And he received a very beautiful reply from Srila Saraswati Thakur, and he referred to him. There's this expression, Niveditatma, meaning a soul. He described him as a soul who had fully surrendered himself. And he told Srila Maharaj that for a soul like yourself, who's fully surrendered, who's fully given themselves over, there is no question of offense. There is no offense. You cannot do anything wrong. There's no question of that. So for Srila Maharaj to refer to him as a fully surrendered soul, it's not a light matter. It's a very, very high praise. And there were other incidents. Saraswati Thakur also referred to him as Shastra Nipun Sridhar, meaning that he's very expert in scripture. And there's also another very significant comment that Saraswati Thakur made was about the composition that Srila Maharaj wrote, the Bhakti Vinod Viraha Dashakam, in glorifying this composition, very extraordinary composition in glorification of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And this is, if I have only 5 minutes to say something about Srila Maharaj, like to try to give somebody some understanding of who he is, if I only had 5 minutes, I would choose this, this composition in glorification of Bhakti Vinod Thakur is so brilliant. And also the way that he came to write it is so wonderful, because Srila Maharaj is his hidden motive here, his secret intention was to capture the heart of Saraswati Thakur. And so he did it in this very roundabout, clever way. And it's interesting because this was actually the first composition he wrote after joining the Gaudiya Math. And you would think why he wouldn't write something about his own guru. But he was too clever for that, because he really wanted to capture the attention and the love of his guru. And he thought, well, what better way to do that than by glorifying his guru? If I go to glorify him directly, okay, maybe he'll be happy about that, but that will not touch him as much as if I glorify his guru. So, what is the most dear and beloved thing to Saraswati Thakur is his guru, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So if I can glorify his guru nicely, then I will really capture his heart. So that was his very clever strategy. and then he wrote this extraordinary poem. And in particular, is it the 6th verse, I think? Maybe it's the 6th verse. The Sri Gauranumatam Srupa Viditam, this verse, he is so extraordinary, so perfect. And in that verse, Srila Maharaj, he perfectly identifies first of all, what Mahaprabhu came for primarily, which is to distribute the glories and the service of Srimati Radharani. He identifies that principal purpose of Mahaprabhu's descent. And he also and glorifies Bhakti Vinod Thakur, saying, he can give this, Radha Dasyam. And not only that, on top of all of that, he perfectly identifies what role the different acharjas in Mahaprabhu's line have in the service and distribution of that original purpose of Mahaprabhu. Sri Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath, Sanatan, etc. Jiva Goswami. What is their particular service in connection with that gift of Mahaprabhu? That, and we can discuss that more in detail another day. But this is all in one of these verses, and these verses in this composition. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is presenting all of that in perfect Sanskrit poetic language. And that verse was particularly appreciated by Saraswati Thakur, and when he read that, he expressed that now I feel some relief. I feel confident that when I leave this world, at least one person remains behind who understands what I came to give. You know? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he actually commented that I think it was on the basis of that composition that my Guru Maharaj asked me to sing Shri Rupa Manjari Pada when he was leaving this world. And then I just want to, about that poem, I just want to mention one more thing. That, and this is, like the most poignant, heart-touching expression in the poem. At the very conclusion of the poem, Srila Maharaj, he addresses Bhaktivinoda Thakur directly and says, "Oh, I am requesting you for one benediction." And we've heard Gurudev give a blow-by-blow account of the different reactions that Saraswati Thakur had when he came to, because he received the poem, and he's reading it, or maybe someone was reading it to him, and as he's hearing it, he's having different reactions to different points in the poem. So we've heard Gurudev giving, no doubt having heard from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, giving like a blow-by-blow account of particular points when he had a particular reaction. And so at that last, this is in the last verse, in the last lines of this composition, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying, "I have one benediction to ask of you." And so we hear that that Saraswati Thakur at that point, he became a little alarmed. he felt like, oh, now he's going to blow it. He's going to spoil it because this isn't the mood. Normally this isn't the mood of a pure Vaishnava, of pure devotion. You don't ask for anything. You don't ask for anything. So Saraswati Thakur says, oh no, now he's going to spoil it by asking for something. Like Prahlad Maharaj, Nrsingadev asks him, "Can I grant you some boon? I'm so pleased with your devotion. Let me give you something." And Prahlad Maharaj, he's a little offended by that. How can I want anything in return? I'm just offering everything to you. I don't need anything more than that. So anyway, Saraswati Thakur was a little concerned at that point. But then he continued. And what is it that Srila Sridhar Maharaj asks? He asks him, he's addressing Bhaktivinoda, and it's so just so heart touching. This is a poem that he's presenting to Saraswati Thakur, but he's addressing it to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So it's like he's speaking to Bhaktivinoda Thakur in front of Saraswati Thakur. And what is he asking? Please give me the service of your most beloved, meaning Saraswati Thakur. So he's asking Bhaktivinoda Thakur in front of Saraswati Thakur, please give me the service of Saraswati Thakur. Please, grant me admission into that group of servitors. Like it is an irresistible prayer. It is a heartbreaking, irresistible heartbreaking expression. So, how deeply, with my heart of stone, like this just floors me, so how much did that move Saraswati Thakur? How much did that touch him? I can't really imagine, So, that is as I said, if we're only going to mention one or two principal points about Srila Sridhar Maharaj and his glories, that's top of the list for me. You know, that's one of the things at the top, you know, that really tells us something, like who is Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you know. So many things, so many things. Does anyone else want to? Oh, we have Jagadananda Prabhu. Jagadananda Prabhu, please, I was hoping you would join us and say something. Very happy to have you with us. Please tell us that Jagadananda Prabhu, he is a direct disciple of our Param Gurudev Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and he always speaks, you know, very beautifully of our Guru's teaching. So please, Jagadananda Prabhu, please share something with us. Or maybe he's gone. Are you there, Jagadananda Prabhu?
Hey, Dandavad.
Dandavat.
How you doing?
Yeah, we're doing good.
How are you all? Very happy, very wonderful talk, clarification. And there is an expression that Gurudev would use sometimes. He would say, defeat is never welcome unless it's from a son or, you know, a daughter or a disciple. So I have been defeated soundly by Vishakha today, so I'm very happy. And what can I say after that talk? How can I, you know, it'll be like you know, Shakespeare. If you say some of your own poetry, it's like sounds like the crowing of a crow. So how can I glorify my Guru Maharaj after that? I feel like Janardhan Maharaj when Gurudev asked Janardhan Maharaj, well, what are your ideas? Something to this effect about Guru Maharaj. What was your impression? And he said, I did not know Guru Maharaj. And so I feel like that. I did not know Guru Maharaj. How can you know the sun? How can the glowworm know the sun? But all I can say is just immensely fortunate to have connection with such an amazing personality, the Rupa Nukadara, the seventh Goswami, yesterday,
I can't.
Oh, put your mic back on.
You're on mute, I think, or something. Oh. We can't hear you, Jagadananda Prabhu. You're on mute. Jagadananda Prabhu. Are you there, Jagadananda?
I'm back again. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, that's a business call.
Okay.
Yeah. And so where was I there? Go.
You're saying about a glowworm and
Oh yeah, exactly. So to glorify the sun, you know, is as a glowworm. What can we say? But like I was talking to Tarik Krishna Prabhu yesterday, and he said he was reading to me one beautiful Vyasa Puja glorification he had written a few years ago, and it was 10,888 glorifications of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. You know, it's very beautiful. But I said, and I thought, is that all? And you're just going to start to say his glories, you know. And but anyways, I didn't know him, and I can't say I knew Gurudev, but I knew Gurudev a little more. So Gurudev was so wonderfully accessible, and so, you know, the giver of Guru Maharaj. So you know, if we got his association, then we got to know a little bit of who Guru Maharaj was, you know. And it's like Dr. Shastri would say, one soul, two bodies. Guru Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj. And anyway, yeah.
Can you share something about your first meeting with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, your first impression?
Oh, Hare Krishna. Well, my first impression, actually, I just saw his picture. I was in ISKCON, and I saw his picture. This is a beautiful photo. I've never seen anywhere else. But and this is back in 1980, 81, before, you know, when they still loved him. And and he was speaking so wonderfully with his hands as he would, making so many beautiful mudras and, descriptive speaking with his hands. And and Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj was looking up at him sort of like this, as you could tell he was speaking. I said, "Oh, who's that?" And they said, "Oh, that's Srila Maharaj. That's Prabhupada's favorite god brother." And I went, "Wow, does he speak English?" They said, "Yeah." And I said, "Is he alive?" They said, "Yeah." And instantly I thought, he's my guru. That's my guru, because I've been praying to Prabhupada for a guru like him. And so anyway, so then I happened to hear on the Sant Sarup Maharaj tape ministry, Srila Maharaj had come to help both Tamal Krishna and the society, but to help Tamal Krishna and Hansaduta, who had been ousted and sort of publicly ousted and humiliated for, doing whatever they had done. And Guru Maharaj gave so many beautiful examples of how, mercy's above justice, and how Queen Victoria, I think, the first time she was asked to give judgment upon somebody, she said, "Does he have any?" They said he could only say the bad things about this officer, and she said, "But can't you say anything good about him?" And he said, "Yes. Well, he has a very good family life." And she thought, "Well, the first time I'm asked to give judgment, mercy is above justice. I have to be lenient, like in this way." So he told his Khan to, be like this, and don't publicly, chastise your god brothers in front of his disciples. This isn't proper. It will disturb the faith of disciples. And then what was his other example he gave? God, I just can't think of it right this second. But the point is, his examples were so perfect and so wonderful that I thought, this is Krishna himself speaking through him. He's a transparent via medium. He's not, this isn't a case of punditism or, gyan, but this is actually, someone who's, such a beautiful analogies. And it's funny because then later I found out that he was noted for his expert use of analogies for Saraswati, from Saraswati Thakur. And I've actually noticed that in some of his disciples that, they also have somewhat of an expert use of analogies. And, because they're hopefully the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, and he's blessed them in this way. And, I was just, you're transported to the spiritual world. I remember we came there, we arrived late, I don't know, after dark, and I was there with Goswami Maharaj, who then was Dear Krishna Maharaj, and Bhakti Priya and Brahmadas. And but when Srila Maharaj had heard that we had come, and especially Goswami, Dear Krishna Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj, because he was doing such wonderful propaganda work there. And I helped there start the temple, the first temple there in San Jose, and 1981. And so anyways, he had us come up and see him, and he was there behind his mosquito net in the dark in his room, and it was just like, just entering his room, you were entering the spiritual world. And could barely see him, but he was sort of like, almost like he was glowing there behind the mosquito net. And it was just, it was magical. It was wonderful and beautiful. And one time I was, here he couldn't see basically. He had cataracts, but one time, and I would sit, right next to him, as close as I could get. but still, he would talk so softly. You know, you maybe shouldn't know that from the tapes or whatever, but he'd speak so softly, you couldn't even hear him sometimes, even though I was 2 feet away. And so I was sort of spacing out, looking into his room and checking out his room like that. And he could tell that, you know, I wasn't like paying attention like that. All of a sudden he goes, you know, like, who's that? Who's that? And they go, I think Sagar Maharaj said, oh, it's, you know, Dr. Jeff. And Guru Maharaj goes, Dr. Jet? And like, oh, yeah, you know, like this. And so they were nicknaming, they were all nicknamed me Dr. Jet. But and then when he gave me this name, Jagannath Das, everybody, you know, Goswami Maharaj and whatnot, they were laughing. They thought it was so perfect, you know, because I can have a bit of a fiery mood, you know, and sort of a little ornery like Jagannath Pandit was at times. And anyways, but also, you know, immediately I was so fortunate that I knew that Gurudev was his chosen, his everything. You know, some fools came there. You know, I mean, I see some people even who took initiation in that time, you know, after Gurudev, took sannyas, 85. But before it was 100% clear to everybody that he was fully the guru. They were under the impression, oh, he's a rhythmic guru. And I'm still a disciple of Govind Srila Maharaj like this. And I know people to this day, they don't really fully accept Gurudev as their guru, but they're actually direct disciples of Gurudev, but they think somehow they're disciples of Guru Maharaj. And like Srila Govinda Maharaj said, I do not mind if they are like this, as long as they are also accepting me. But some of these people are so foolish, they're not even fully accepting Gurudev. It's like, how absurd, you know? And, but so luckily, you know, I had heard that and I could feel that with Srila Govinda Maharaj. And so luckily, I hope I didn't make too many offenses and I got his mercy, you know, from the very beginning there. And, you know, anyways, you know, because immediately Guru Maharaj, you know, put Srila Govinda Maharaj in charge of the Westerners in every way. Srila Govinda Maharaj used to see to our medicine if we needed medicine, or see to our bedding. Oh, you need a mosquito net? Okay, he made the arrangements. You know, it wasn't like, oh no, he's the Paramahamsa, he's the temple president. He's, you know, has to let someone else do that. No, he was doing all these services. And anyways. Yeah, Boda. Are there any other questions? Questions are always good. Did I get lost here?
No, that was wonderful. We've been listening with full attention.
Hare Krishna. Goda. Nitai. Yeah. You know, I used to sit there. You know, he would. In the morning, it would be quite cold, you know, at that time, you know, Gorpanim time, and even before, I think we arrived, you know, like the day after Nityananda's disappearance day in 1982. And be quite cold. And of course, you know, Bengalis aren't the most cold tolerant individuals. So Guru Maharaj would be all wrapped up. And then slowly, you know, because darshans would start at like, you know, 4:30 in the morning, you know, right after Mangal Arti, you know, and that goes till 10 in the morning. So slowly Gurudev would be shedding, Guru Maharaj would shed all his, you know, various, you know, warm clothing and even take off his socks, you know, like that. And so I would carefully pull the pills off the socks, you know, the little, and like, carefully collect them and also put them on my head. Anyways, it was wonderful times, you know, very, very beautiful. And, you know, we felt we were blessed to be there in the revolution, you know, sort of like, you know, the giving out the mercy to, like, what did Guru Maharaj say? This is, you know, relief movement, you know, to give relief to those people who have come. And, you know, they've given everything and now they're being, you know, ousted from the movement. They've been, mechanically, you know, run over by the tanks. The infantry is being run over by the tanks, and you know, they're being used as pawns and, you know, cannon fodder basically by the society that they helped found, you know. And so he wasn't happy by this at all. And so he said that our mood should always be relief work. And you know, here I was just a bhakta, and you know, so I would go over and preach to Prabhupada disciples and say things to sannyasis over there and whatnot. And you know, happy to say that even I've heard from some people that I was their first, you know what I mean, person who sort of brought them to Guru Maharaj, you know, even though they were Prabhupada people and whatnot. And so to be an instrument like that, very wonderful, very, 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 very merciful. And we'd be distributing, you know, you know, back then there were no books published, and but I was, you know, we distribute different transcripts, and you know, one of the first books was the Transcendental Relationship. I can't remember the exact name, but about Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and like that. And of course, I saw Ramananda Prabhu there in the background. He also came not too much later there in San Jose and helped in San Jose. And I was fortunate to be engaged in the, you know, some of the book editing and proofreading and like that, and fundraising, and you know, for the temple and for the book publication. And actually, it was very fortunate that actually the first English publication was the first 2 chapters of Search for Sri Krishna, Reality Beautiful. Vishakha Prabhu, old Prabhupada disciple and the husband of Sureshri, and myself, we paid for that publication. And then my daughter Jamuna, she was on the cover. She was a cute little kid, and so she was on the cover of one little, you know, preaching pamphlet, you know, called "Read This and Cry." And you know, so anyways, it was wonderful times, and it still is if we, you know what I mean, we keep there at the lotus feet of our Gurudevs and Guru Maharaj, you know, like that, and you know, keep having the association of people like Vishakha, you know, and we'll be supremely blessed. And but you know, we have to, you know, Guru Maharaj, you know, it's so amazing that Guru Maharaj was so the form breaker, not the form maker, you know, substance over form. Yet so often I see our people are still so formal. Oh, our society, our, you know, sannyasis, this and that, you know, it's like give no, and that's one of the reasons why so many people made offense to Srila Govinda Maharaj, because, you know, he wasn't a sannyasi, because he gave it up, you know, he didn't want to become a sannyasi because he knew that Guru Maharaj would make him the guru, and then he knew Guru Maharaj would be free to leave this world and go back to Saraswati Thakur's. And you know, so, but I still see that, ooh, you're out of the society, oh, you don't, you know, these people, you're not 100% into, you know, whoever, these people who, once again, I love how Guru Maharaj said, you know, because at first he fully supported these, you know, the 11 so-called, you know, the so-called gurus, acharyas from ISKCON that Prabhupada had recommended. Guru Maharaj said, it is all and then later when they went against him, and not just because they went against him, but just because of their mood and whatnot, you know, he said, why did I support them like this? Because I am a simple man. It was all recommendatory by Swami Maharaj. Recommendatory. So that's it. Any, quote, appointment other than the appointment of Srila Sridhar Maharaj to Srila Govinda Maharaj is recommendatory. It's not set in stone. If you become, you know, the high court judge, you know, qualified, and you're the son of a high court judge, then you're a high court judge. But are you still there, people?
We're here. We're here.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Yagdananda Prabhu.
Yeah, and you know, then you're qualified, and then you are the high court judge. But otherwise, you were recommended for that position, like you're recommended to, you know, for a job. But then when you get into the job and you can't handle the job, then forget it. You know what I mean? You know, but fools will still say, "Oh no, he was recommended." Oh, you know, no, okay, you know, act the part, you know, and anyways, like that. Hare Krishna. Form breaker, not a form maker. And why? Because he's substance over form always. You know, it's like Guru Maharaj, you know, sometimes before a festival, I heard one time, you know, well, Govinda Maharaj would often go up there and he would apply his tilak for him, because of course Guru Maharaj couldn't see that well. So Govinda Maharaj would put his tilak on, and then afterwards Guru Maharaj, you know, in his, you know, total humility would say, "Now my disguise is complete." Not thinking that he's even a Vaishnav, and that, you know, wearing tilak, you know, for him is a disguise, you know, and you know, like that. But always substance over form, and so we have to be like that. We have to have that substantial vision. This is what Guru Maharaj was always preaching about, you know. But if we become, just because we can parrot those words, but if we can't see that, what's the use? What's the good of that? You know, we have to have that. You know, we have to see that. You know, Guru Maharaj left you know, Guru Maharaj left this society of his spiritual master. You know, and why? To go off by himself when he, you know, felt that I can't fully, you know, put my faith there. I can't fully put my head there. I can't fully support, you know, everything there. And better to be off by myself like that. And so, you know, with one or with many, you know, what is ever favorable. Acceptance, it boils down to those things. Acceptance of the favorable, rejection of the unfavorable. Always those two things. And we can analyze like that. And anyways, Hare Krishna. Go to Hari, go to Hari.
Jai,
I have seen that video, Prabhu. Very nice.
Jai.
Jagadananda Prabhu.
Hey, well, I'll join you in a few minutes, but right now I'm road. You know, I do my job is I have a business where I deliver orthopedic implants. So I'm at a hospital surgery center now. So I do my pickup, but I'll join you in a few minutes again to hear and take some nectar in from my ears from all your holy kata. And anyways, thank you for nourishing me. Of course, I use the word thank you. Guru Maharaj was not a fan of this word because it implied separate interest. You know, like I'm going to take something, where he would always say, no, it is all on loan. It is a gracious grant from above. It's not that we're going to pocket something and go away. Thank you. No, you know, give it out. Whatever we've gotten, we must give out. Keep it fresh. You would say like the fresh flowing river, you know, the stagnant pond may be stagnant and mosquitoes are in there and whatnot. But the flowing river, there's not even any mosquitoes in a, you know, flowing river, you know. And anyways, Jai, Srila Bhakti, Raksak, Srila Dev-Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Bhakti, Srila Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Vishakha Devi ki Jai, all the devotees there ki Jai, go to Christ, Hari Hari Bol.
That was pretty amazing.
Jai.
You're like driving down the road and giving wonderful.
No.
Yeah.
A little crowing, a little croaking of the frog. But anyways, anyways, all right. I'll come back in a few. All right, Jai Guru. Jai. I need the blessings, like Guru Maharaj so wonderfully prayed when they asked him, like, why are you coming? What's your reason? You know, they thought he was a spy because he listened so attentively. You know, they actually said, I think he's a spy for the British, you know. And they said, what are you coming around here for? You know, you're a super Brahmin, you know, about to charge a Brahmin, you know Sanskrit, you know, this and that. You're so qualified, you can do anything, you know. He said, I want the grace of you all. So that's it. I want the grace of you all. And that's what we need, you know, the grace of everyone, especially the the wonderful Vaishnava devotees of Guru Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj like that. And anyways, Jai. So that's my prayer too. I want the grace of you all. Jai Guru Maharaj, Jai Guru Dev.
Thank you so much.
Jai. Thank you for having me. Godari. Nitai. Baja Bhai, Chaitanya Nitai. Nitai, God Haribo. And Guru Maharaj would say like that. Why am I chanting Nitai, God Haribo, God Haribo? In case I said something high or there's some offense, that way it will ground me and, rectify that offense, and, by their grace, like that. Jai Guru Maharaj. Jai Guru Dev. I'll be back soon.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to greet Seamus and Vijay also tuning in from Ireland.
Jai Hare Krishna. Jai Hare Krishna.
And we also have Indumuki here. Where are you calling from, Indumuki? Oh, is this Indumuki in Tijuana, maybe?
Dandavad, Devi.
You're in Tijuana. This is Indumuki in Mexico. Is that right?
Yes, pues no hablo mucho inglés, pero sí, estoy ahorita en México.
Okay, muy bien. ¿Y cómo está tu hijo?
Oh, aquí está Nityananda, está muy bien también, muchas gracias.
Hola Nityananda, ¿cómo está?
Tapar.
Es un poco más grande que yo.
¿Sabe qué es este día?
No, pero estamos muy felices de poder verlos a ustedes también. Muchas gracias, Dandavad.
Thank you for joining us.
Dandavad.
And Suvasini Didi is with us. Also
Dandavad, Didi.
Jai Hare Krishna, Suvasini.
Dandavad, everyone.
And we've got Krishnananda tuning in now too. Krishnananda, Brajamohini just showed us around the new temple there. It looks amazing. I don't know if he can hear us yet. Okay, well, does anyone else feel any inspiration to say something? Brajamohini Didi, do you want to share something?
I think everybody has said so many beautiful things, and I couldn't possibly say anything because I have no clean enough heart, but except for just, his books that we get to hear from. And I remember the first time reading Loving Search for the Lost Servant and just being completely floored by that, and just like, this is it, this is what I this is everything, and it's just always amazing when we try to read and reread Guru Maharaj's words and books. And I'm always sometimes you find a line or a quote that is just so wonderful, and you write it down, and you want to write, I gotta write that down, it's just too beautiful. And then you read the next sentence that he says, and it's just it's just more beautiful. So how much sweetness we're receiving from him, obviously through the grace of Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj. So it's just inconceivable mercy, there's no way of trying to understand anything. It's all on the mercy platform. So very grateful to receive all of your beautiful association. Vishakha Didi, thank you so much for this wonderful Zoom time together with our family in honor of this beautiful day. So Jai Gurudev, Jai Guru Maharaj, Jai all the world devotees, and Jai Sri Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mott and Mission and everyone everywhere that's trying to glorify him on this day. Jai Gurudev.
Well, we're feeling very happy to see your bright face, effulgent with the living grace of our Param Gurudev. So we're grateful. You're living. You are you are living. You know what we are discussing, and that gives us great.
Well, I'm not actually. You are, my dear. You are showing us, but somehow we're allowed to continue to aspire for that. So thank you.
Jai Braja Mohini Didi ki Jai.
Uh,
Govinda Nandini, do you want to share anything? You're on mute.
I need to leave to the temple. They're waiting for me there also.
Okay.
It was wonderful to be here with you all.
Okay.
Always very grateful to be here.
Govinda Nandini lives right next. She's on the same land as the temple in Brazil, our beautiful ashram there. So she's right next door, and she gives very nice classes there. Very qualified Vaishnav.
Sadhu Sangha, your association gives me. If I have any qualification, it's your association. From your association. Okay. Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad. Ramananda Prabhu, I know you always have some inspiration. Will you share a few words?
Sure, if you allow me. Thank you. Yeah, I was watching actually video of Srila Guru Maharaj where Jagdananda Prabhu, Sagar Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj, all kind of there. I never had opportunity to meet Srila Guru Maharaj, but I watched his video. But fortunately, I can understand some Bengali and other language. So I can feel they're so fortunate. Guru Maharaj is like amazing. He's like a son, like he's saying, Om Vishnu. He's saying subjective vision that you would be conscious always of a higher power, that Vishnu's loving eyes watching over you. We are living in the sky. So I'm aspiring for that day. So nice to be with you, all the Vaishnavas, all the devotees. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. You know how to glorify like Gurudev, Guru Maharaj. I'm most unqualified, but I'm lucky to be in association of all the devotees, all the Vaishnavas. Yeah, I was able to do some service. Yeah. So I'm aspiring still. Yeah, it's very amazing. We are all fortunate. Guru Maharaj said no seniority. We all are family of a Mahaprabhu, Gurudev, Guru Maharaj. So if we can follow that, be humble, be tolerant, give honor to others, then we all be happy. It be perfect. And we move happily and serve Guru Maharaj, Gurudev mission very happily. Dandavas.
Dhanyavad, Ramananda Prabhu. We always feel like Gurudev's mercy and Srila Sridhar Maharaj's mercy is living in your heart. So we're always happy to have your presence with us here. Suvasini Didi, do you want to say anything? Suvasini is one of our leaders in Ireland, and she's always organizing programs and facilitating the preaching there.
Dandavad Didi, it is so nice to hear from you, Jagannananda Prabhu, and other devotees about the glories of Srila Guru Maharaj. It is, there's nothing much I can say, but, we are only greatly indebted to, all the wonderful teachings it, he has given us with so much, depth and clarity and everything. So all the books which we read are, with the great inspiration we get from them. And so we are greatly indebted to him, our Guru Dev, and all the devotees who are actually bringing out the illuminating that. And so that is all I can say. So yes, thank you, Devi. So
Jai Suhasini Didi ki jai. Thank you, Didi. And we have Krishnananda Prabhu joining in. Prabhu, do you have any inspiration you want to share on this very special day? Krishnananda, are you there? Did you disappear? Okay, maybe he's out of the room. Oh no, he's turning on.
I'm on mute. I'm out of town right now on a work project, but I'm giving my obeisances to everybody.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we saw the photos, not photos, Brajamhini gave us a live tour of the ashram there, and it was a great inspiration. So all glories to your service there, and we're all wishing you all the best.
Yes, I'm happy to be living somewhere that the devotees' foot dust is starting to sprinkle down on. That's where I want to live. And I'm bringing Bhakti Tyler back with me from California. He was hanging out with Braja Mohini, so we're driving back tomorrow to Texas, and we'll start joining the live stream programs. So we'll be happy to see you more.
Wonderful, wonderful news. Wonderful news. Jayadev Prabhu, you look like you have some inspiration you want to share.
Definitely not. No, I'm just loving and hearing everyone's sentiments. Very sweet. I guess I did have one reflection that I thought was sweet, because Jagadananda, he calls us a lot. And one of the things about him, I will glorify him, that I find striking is that I was having the realization, as he's so adamantly glorifying Srila Govinda Maharaj, that's how he is most pleasing his Guru Maharaj, by glorifying his beloved. So that's the only thing I have to say, is that cycle of love like that. That was very sweet. I was touched by that.
Yes, and it's a really important point that, our connection with Srila Sridhar Maharaj is realized through Srila Govinda Maharaj. And that's something I've always appreciated about Jagadananda. There is no Srila Sridhar Maharaj without Srila Govinda Maharaj. There's no question of that. And our Gurudev, he is the giver of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So and another point is that, and this also shows who Gurudev is that we feel like, even though I never met Srila Sridhar Maharaj in person, but I feel very deeply that he's a part of my life, because of Gurudev so purely transmitting him, very deeply. I feel like I know I can't say I know Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but I feel a relationship with him. I pray to him, I feel his presence sometimes, even though I never met him in person. And I know that's only possible because of Srila Gurudev. I feel like Srila Sridhar Maharaj is a part of my life because Gurudev, because Srila Sridhar Maharaj is living so much within Gurudev. And so he's giving us that connection, giving us that feeling in a very vivid and very, very powerful way. And there were a few devotees, Janardhan Maharaj, also Madhusudha Maharaj, they said that when Gurudev left the world, it was especially painful because they felt like not only did Gurudev leave, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj also left because they felt Srila Sridhar Maharaj living inside him. So that is another striking thing about Gurudev. They are inseparable. They are so deeply intertwined. Well, Devi Dasi, do you want to share something with us? Today's a special day, and we want to leave the field open when everyone's be able to express their inspiration.
Dandavad. Hi, Dandavad, sorry.
Dandavad.
What can I say? I'm just an insignificant fly in the top classroom, like the high grade students, and I'm just here listening all your beautiful words of clarification. And as you were saying, of course I don't have like a tangible connection with Sridhar Maharaj, but only through Gurudev, and not even with him, but with his devotees. And I'm just like how do you say, a fan, like the public, just watching, like, and a spectator, right, around. I just can't help to feel that real devotees, they do feel that connection, and with that connection of love, they engage in service, and I only admire that, and I only aspire that maybe my next life I'm gonna be able to really grasp his words, his teachings, his example through his devotees. Maybe in a million lifetimes that will be possible. But for now, I am just grateful to be able to be here and listen to your words and see the example of so many devotees that are really living Krishna consciousness. So in a conscious way. So just that, it's amazing how we are able to celebrate life, and also, not to say the word death, but the lack of presence, physical presence of such great saints. So just that, I don't have the proper words. I am obviously not qualified to say anything, but just to share that if we have the opportunity to at least be around, at least listen or hear those beautiful words of love and appreciation for Srila Sridhar Maharaj, for Srila Govinda Maharaj, for Srila Prabhupada, and so many other great teachers that we have. We should do that. We should keep doing that, despite of all of our mistakes and faults and disgusting things that we have. So I'm just, like I said, grateful to listen to all of you, and that's it. My dandavats to all of you, my dandavats Vishakha Didi, and that is it. I hope that you all have a great day, and maybe 5 minutes of your day, give them in service. That's what I'm gonna do. Right now I'm cleaning and I'm doing such insignificant things, but hey, that's what I have to do, right? So dandavat.
Right, that was so beautiful, Devati. It's so beautiful. And Devati, she's such a beautiful devotee servitor, and she's done so much service in Tijuana and has so much inspiration for preaching and spreading the message of our gurus and Mahaprabhu. And we feel very fortunate to have her friendship and participation.
Obviously, I can't tell you otherwise, because you obviously know what you're saying, but I don't feel like that at all. I'm just, like I said, a fly in the classroom. That's it. Dandavat.
Dandavat. And what about our hostess, Doyamoy? Do you want to share anything? I know you're always very shy.
Yes, I am not a very good speaker. I can only tell that I feel so fortunate that the devotees are so merciful and so kind. I am terrible. I really am. I have no desire to serve, fortunately, but I have the desire to be with the devotees because they're so beautiful, and they give me everything. So that's it.
Thank you for sharing that. Very heart-touching. Very beautiful. That's the essence. That's the essence, to have the desire for sadhu sangha. If we still have that in our hearts, we're okay. We're okay. Induleka, I saw her around, but I know she's very shy too, even more shy. But if she wants to say anything, we'd be very happy to hear.
She's on a phone call right now.
Okay. And Giridhari, he's I think he might get angry at me if I ask him to say anything. So I've been in trouble with him before. So so I'm not gonna ask you, Giridhari, but if you want to say something, just go ahead and say. Seamus and Vijay, do you have any inspiration you want to share? You've been participating for, I think, like 2 years now. Very enthusiastic. They're very active with our community in Limerick. They're like kind of right hands to Gopeshwar, who heads the group there in Limerick, Ireland. So they have a lot of inspiration. They give a lot of support to the mission. Do you want to share anything with our family here on this special day? Are you there? Okay. Maybe they've gone out, or I don't know. All right. Well, maybe we'll stop for today then. This has been a really, really sweet, really inspired meeting. And we're especially happy we could hear from Jagadananda Prabhu, his inspiration on our divine guardians. Okay, well, our Dandavat Pranams to all of the assembled Vaishnavas, all glories to our beloved Gurudev and our Param Gurudev on his divine appearance day.
Thank
Jai.
you, Didi. Dandavat. Jai. Guru Maharaj.
Wishing you all a very, very happy evening or day, depending on where you are. Okay. Oh, Kanu Priya, do you want to share something? We have Kanu Priya here also. Do you want to say anything? No. Okay. She's the most shy. Seamus and Vijay, I see you're back. Do you want to share anything with our family?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
No, we're okay. Thank you. It's lovely to have the association and to link in and to tune in. So thank you for that. So Pranam Jai Hare Krishna.
Thank you for joining us here. Okay. Dandavats.
Dandavats, Prabhu, Dandavats to everyone.